Just wait. Right, go. Go whenever you're ready.
Three. Well, good day, everybody. It's another big week. Welcome back to the Zach and Lachlan Sports Watch. Zach, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be back. Wednesday night, round one is upon us. Plenty to talk about tonight, obviously, with opening round been and gone. A couple of surprises coming from opening round as well. So keen to talk about those. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, what should we start with first? Because there's so many things we can talk about. We can talk about my troubles. We can talk about you calling the dogs victory correct. It's probably the worst way
Good
I could have
start.
phrased that. Yeah. Or, I mean, we can talk about how disappointing some of the other clubs were. Where do you want to go first?
I reckon we start with a bit of your news. I mean, this bit of news to me, so I'd like to hear it, that's for sure. As would the
Uh,
listeners.
All right, so here is the situation. I was preparing for the press conferences on Sunday night. I worked the game at the MCG. Very lucky to do that from the AFL, and got a bit of a clip from old Ross Lyon. I walked up, shook his hand, and I said, well, I tried to shake his hand, and I said to him, "Condolences, Ross." And he said, "Are you serious?" and wouldn't shake my hand back.
Oh, is that how it played out, is it?
That's how it played out in the end. Yeah.
Not a happy man. I mean, we might as well start with that game. I mean, we're starting with the
Mm.
last game of the round. We might as well start there. Probably the disappointment, of the round, would be St Kilda dropping that game, to Collingwood, a very hyped up St Kilda, in the pre-season, I would say. A few of their players were taken out of the game, one being Wanganeen Miller, and they looked pretty ordinary, didn't
Mm.
they?
Mm. Yeah, it was going well as a Saints fan. It was going well to half time, and then it all kind of the wheels fell off. Pendlebury was incredible with only what 50. I think he played 55% of game time.
Yeah, incredible.
Um, and then Josh and Nick Dacos combined for what like 66 disposals or something. Unbelievable for that Collingwood midfield. The Saints were very good for large portions of the game, but that second quarter when we really had our run on, our disposal efficiency was pretty poor. I think that made a difference. And then Harry Perryman's job on Nasai Wanganeen Miller absolutely locked him out of the game. He was incredible, I thought.
Oh, absolutely. Do you feel that maybe the hype externally, not, overly hyped, but they were hyped up a little bit with, four
Mm.
big ins, got to them a little bit internally in the way they went out and played. I mean, you speak of Ross Lyon after the game, talking around, backing in his own system, and you're letting guys like Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos get off the chain.
Um, I don't know. I don't know if St Kilda were overhyped. I think we underperformed.
Yeah,
If I'm completely honest, I think we've got a list that when we're on matches with the best in the competition, we're just simply not on enough. And I know it's only been one game, but for that game of football on Sunday night, we weren't on for long enough. So we were taught a task, and fair enough as well. They played spectacular football, to be honest. Collingwood and were full credit for the win. Um, yeah, I don't know what to make of Ross post game either. Some of the comments, I don't know if he was trying to just sort of, I don't know if he was trying to downplay maybe how good Collingwood were. That would be the best, I guess, kind of run at it that I can think of. But to be honest with you, the stuff he said about Pendlebury was not accurate from what I saw. The stuff he said about Josh Dacos, potentially they were trying to play their own system, but I think in hindsight, if he could go back to halftime and leave Hugo Garcia on Nick Dacos, he'd probably do it.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of another probably disappointing game for themselves, or at least a quarter, is Carlton Thursday night.
Oh,
To concede what it was 100 points in the quarter,
yeah.
quite phenomenal. I mean, they were 22 points up, in that second half, so in that first half, sorry. And for it to switch that quickly, it's more same old for Carlton, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they were looking good for the premiership for about 60 minutes, and then the wheels kind of fell off pretty
Yeah.
quickly after that. But yeah, Charlie Curnow, I thought he was very good on Thursday night as well. Where do you think it went wrong for Carlton when you look back at that third quarter? I know obviously conceding 12 goals is the overarching view of that, but where do you think for them it started to break down?
It always breaks down in the middle of the ground. Once a
Mm.
team, breaks even or gets ascendancy inside the middle of the ground, Carlton fall to pieces, and we saw that. They conceded 12 goals, and most of it was out of centre bounce. Sydney controlled that area of the ground in that third term and really got on top of Carlton. So they're going to have to now, again, for probably the second year in a row, third year in a row, go try and find another avenue because they can't just rely on contested footy and playing out of the midfield to get the job done.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, their midfield is interesting to watch. I mean, you've got Cripps in there. Obviously, he's a superstar. You got Jagger Smith, Sam Walsh when he's fit and firing is always good. But how? Yeah, they probably don't have the dominance that some of the other teams do. And I think Sydney, with their outside run on Thursday night, probably got them in the end.
I know it's only early, but what we've seen from Sydney in opening round, are they the most damaging team in the competition potentially?
It's hard without having seen half the teams play.
Yeah,
But based off right now, no, I think the Gold Coast Suns are a
yeah.
better football team at the minute. I think they're more complete. I mean, I know Gold Coast Suns fans won't talk about it because they haven't won a premiership yet, but they're premiership favourites for a reason. Gold Coast after opening round, they were absolutely sensational on Friday night.
Well, they certainly haven't done themselves any problems. 56-point winners on Friday night. Really, the Cats never got going. It was the Suns right from the start. I mean, I think they opened up with 7 goals in the first term, 8 goals in the first term. So really impressive start. One guy I want to talk about is Petrarca. Made the move from Melbourne, of
Mm,
course. Much anticipated. He's just gone to another level this year, hasn't he? I mean, 34 disposals, has three, and some of the best 34 disposals I've seen a player have in some time. So all of his 34 touches were damaging, in my opinion, and
mm.
and to finish with 3 goals as well. But it wasn't just him getting the job done. You speak about Bailey Humphrey. Isn't he going to be the talking point this year? Does he move on? Does he not? What a player he
Just on
is.
that point, is he playing in the Gold Coast Suns in 2027? Do you think, Zach?
I think so. Why would you not, as a young gun,
Mm.
is now one of the faces of that footy club. I mean, what a game he did have to open the account for the Suns. So why would you not want to stay at the Suns with all their talent, with what they could do in the next few years? For the next 10 years, maybe even. It could be really impressive. So why wouldn't you want to stay there for sure?
100%. Mr. Football puts that one to bed. You can just about take away Bailey Humphrey from going anyway. I agree with you. It wouldn't make much sense to come back to Melbourne, especially. I mean, I know the Hawks are in a good spot as well. Obviously they lost on the weekend, but aside from that, I mean they're in a good spot. They were one of the clubs that was linked. Melbourne was the other one, but I think the Suns are the team you'd want to be at the minute. Hawthorn were an interesting case, and it
Mm.
was hard for me to watch that game because I was midway through Supercars coverage. So I had Supercars up on one screen in the media centre and the footy up on the other, and me and a journo whose name I won't say was we were trying to watch both, but we couldn't get it done in the end, so we ended up half watching both of them. Um, I thought GWS were very good considering the charges that they had and the fact they won that game.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you saw some. No, not necessarily unlikely types, but probably over the last couple of years, an unlikely type in Jake Stringer. I mean, he kicked 5 goals, for the Giants. 5 goals, four, in fact. So he's had 9 scoring shots from just 14 touches, which is a great
Mm.
start to the season for him, and a great start to the season for the Giants. This is probably my shock of the round. I thought Hawthorn were definitely going to get the job done. They
I
probably
thought they were almost a
underperformed.
lock.
They probably underperformed quite a bit to their standards, and I thought the Giants, excelled and probably played their best brand of footy, albeit in opening rounds. So we'll see how their season plays out for the Giants, but potentially they've gone a little bit early. But like you say, with what they had out, it's an impressive win, that's for sure. At home.
It's one not many people thought they'd get, especially over a Hawthorn outfit, though. I mean, Hawthorn at their best probably win that game of football. They very clearly weren't at their best on Saturday. So it'll be very interesting to see how, I guess, kind of the rest of how they respond next week. It eludes me who they've got. Essendon on Friday night is who they've got. So you'd expect them to get the chocolates done there, but they wouldn't be pressing any alarm bells or anything, would they, the Hawks?
Oh no, definitely not. I think, like we say, I think they definitely did underperform. I think John Newcombe was their leading disposal getter on the ground. He had 25. I just don't think they got their game going at all, and I think. The Giants played to their full capacity right from the get-go, and it's hard to do that right at the start. I mean, Hawthorn went deep into finals last year, didn't they? So, look, I'm not worried at all about Hawthorn. Just an exceptional game from the Giants, I think.
100%. I've just got to ask here because usually dressing up's my thing. What's going on here, Zachy? You've got the collared shirt on.
Yes.
You're taking
You
a
don't
page
mind
out
it?
of my book.
Yeah, I am. Just put a nice shirt on, and big show this week. AFL's back fully. Every team will play this weekend, so how exciting! But we've got one more game to dissect through. Lions,
Hmm.
Bulldogs. How did you see that one play out?
Yeah, interesting game on Saturday night for sure. In the midst of trying to file, I was trying to watch that game as well. I think I think the Western Bulldogs. Here's a question for you to throw it back on you.
Hmm.
Whose win was more impressive, the Dogs or the Suns?
Oh, well, I expected both to win. So, nah, the Dogs. The Dogs for mine. Yeah,
Yeah, I can make an argument either way. But I think the Dogs, because of the caliber of the team that they beat,
yeah.
is actually more impressive. But yeah, they were quality on Saturday night, and particularly I thought Ed Richards was heavily involved as well for the Dogs. I don't think they would have won if he wasn't out there.
Nah, 30-2 does suggest that, doesn't it? But you're right.
Mm.
It was a pretty good game right the way through. Definitely Brisbane got on top in certain aspects and certain times of the game. But to the Bulldogs' credit, they again kick a winning score, which is what they're going to do all year. The only question mark is again, they put up 111 points and only win by a couple of points. Against another high power, offense. But that will be their only question mark going forward. Is there's no doubt in any game they can't kick a winning score, but it's about defending, okay, and trying to win those sorts of games as well.
So then here's a question for you then, Zach. Is the Dogs defense, and I know you picked them top four last week. I picked them, I think, 11th. Is the Dogs defense actually good enough to win a premiership or to compete with the best teams, do you think? Week in, week out?
Well, going statistically, probably not. I mean, it's not a top four defense in any imagination, but what they do have is an exciting brand of football, and they're going to be hard to stay with the whole game. They run the whole game out. They kick a high score every time they go inside 50. Quite efficient in that as well. It helps having Sam Darcy, of course, but teams are going to find it hard to go with them the whole game in terms of that high power offense. Brisbane were able to do that. Came up just short, but definitely across the whole season, their defense has to get better. And if it can, it'll go a long way to them, holding up the cup come the last day in September for sure.
Jeez, that's a big call. That's a big call. Doggy's flag favorite. No, no,
No, no, no,
that's
no.
not what he said. That's not what he said. I do want to switch tacks a little bit here, towards next weekend or this weekend coming up. Obviously, Thursday night footy, we begin the traditional fixture that started all before opening round. Richmond, Carlton, MCG. This one's going to be big.
Oh, it's big. It's huge for Carlton. On the back of what, has come out about Sam Doherty and the likes, the pressure is right on again, Carlton,
Mm.
because what we want to see is something a little bit different, something that we haven't seen, from Carlton for the last couple of years. And if they don't win the middle of the ground, then, they're easy beats. So we need to see something, definitely different, in terms of, winning in a different way. I think you'll see that. They've gone into this season trying to be more resilient and not let outside talk come in. So we'll see if that happens. Obviously, the in this year's matchup last year, they were done in. They were up again at half time. Quite comfortably cruising the game, and again dropped off in that pressure around the ball, contested ball, and ended up losing by a couple of goals to a Richmond side where people last year didn't have them winning a game. So. I'd be a little bit worried if I was a Carlton fan on the back of what I saw in that third quarter last week, albeit against a quality side in Sydney. But Richmond haven't played a game yet. They'll be hungry. Got a couple of young debutants coming in, so I'd be a little bit worried if I was Carlton. But in my opinion, I see something a little bit different coming from Carlton this week. I think.
Yeah, I'm across the other side. I really don't. rate Carlton at all. I mean, I picked them to finish 17th last week for God's sake. So I mean, I'm very much not a believer in what's going on at Icon Park at all, despite the fact I was there probably only a week ago. Um, it's it's interesting to think about. I don't want to back over something that you said. Sam Doherty.
Mm.
What do you make of his comments? Because I mean, it's not, and whether or not Gorringe had permission to play it on his podcast or not is something I'm not interested in debating. But
No, not at all.
I don't think he was that far wrong with what he said.
I don't think he's wrong at all, in my opinion. Just man, the couple of words he said. Look, I'm not going to debate what he said at all. I think what he said was completely fair. Probably what everyone is
Mm.
thinking. I don't think Carlton should be too worried about it. I don't think the outside world should be too worried about it because yes, he's a former captain of the footy club, former player, a great player of the Carlton Footy Club. But his opinion, does matter to a sense. But he's right. They've got to change their ways, and the way they get beat every single time is what he was alluding to is exactly the same. They lose in the middle of the ground, they lose the game, and they don't only lose the game, they get smoked, and that's what happened in that third term.
Yeah,
So absolutely, he's sick of it. Carlton fans are sick of it. The club itself is sick of it. So they need to start relying on some other players to get the job done, not just your balls inside, your Paddy Cripps, your Sam Walsh, because that's why these sort of guys are getting run down.
100%. Um, Having a look across the rest of the week, I'm just going to very quickly pull up the games because there's a couple of games we can very easily sort of, I guess, kind of mark and go, that's a pretty foregone conclusion. I mean, you're having a look, Essendon Hawthorn. I mean, it's the Zach Merritt Cup, basically. The winner gets to keep him. I'm pretty sure that's the rules. No, I'm kidding. Essendon should lose that game of footy. I think the Hawks will bounce back.
Yeah, the Hawks will bounce back at they love the MCG. They love a big crowd. Hopefully they can get one on a Friday night. You would have thought so. Essendon's playing in that one as well, so you would have thought they'd draw, big crowds from both sides. So big game, definitely. I'm keen to see what Essendon can come up with, but look, it's Hawthorn and it's Hawthorn right from the start. Their energy will be there. I don't think it was there on the weekend, so their energy will be there, and we know when they play with any sorts of energy, they're hard to stop. So could be interesting game for old Essendon, that's for sure.
Gold Coast Suns versus West Coast. We've gone right to the other end of the round because this should be a fairly foregone conclusion. If West Coast win this game, surely someone at Gold Coast has to walk the plank or get drowned in the ocean or something. They're $1 and 1 according to Sportsbet to win this game. West Coast are $19. I haven't seen surer odds in a very, very long time.
Look, this is insult to the wound, isn't it, for West Coast? I mean, you have to go back to the. I hate banging on about practice games, but they looked like an absolute disaster. Pre-game, the coach McCall said he was playing his best team. So if that's his best team up against the Port Adelaide side in a pracky game, I'm seriously scared for him. Or what is it on
Mm.
Sunday night, the graveyard? So very,
The
very
graveyard.
worrying signs here for West Coast, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, they'll look forward to the graveyard shift at People's First Stadium, I'm sure. Melbourne St Kilda, that's your 3:15 game at the MCG. You'd think the Saints would win, but based off last week, I would be shocked if Melbourne won that game, and that's not me trying to be a biased, one-eyed St Kilda supporter. I just think the Saints should get the job done there.
Look, the Saints should get the job done there. They need to respond, you know, after last week. So I'm expecting them to do so. But don't count out Melbourne, whatever you do. I think, if Cozzy does play, that's one
Mm.
that they have to look out and maybe shut down if they want to, because he can take a game apart by himself. So, still got some quality across the park with some new guys coming in do Melbourne. So, and they're playing at home as well, the MCG. So, definitely, a little worrying, but St Kilda should get the job done for sure.
And of course, wishing Cozzy the best as well. That news was broken more than maybe yesterday
Yeah.
around his personal situation. So
Yeah.
wishing him the best. Um, Geelong and Fremantle. That's one that sort of grabbed my attention right off the bat because that's on Saturday at 4:15 in
Mm.
Melbourne time. That could be very interesting at GMHBA Stadium. Geelong will be desperate to bounce back, but Freo heading into the season were a team that lots of people thought could do some real damage.
I think this is not a must win, but a must win if that makes sense for Fremantle. I think
Yeah,
you go away to Geelong in round one and beat a sort of depleted Cats side. Who knows who comes back yet for the Cats? I mean, Paddy Dangerfield didn't play on the weekend. Neither did Jeremy Cameron. So, they're two big ins if they do come back to play at GMHBA. But in saying that, Fremantle over the last couple of years, albeit probably last year, have a decent record and have won, in recent memory over the Cats in GMHBA Stadium. So I think Freo get the job done here, in my opinion. I think if they can, do it and do it well, that's a big scalp early in the season for Fremantle.
100% it is. The Dogs and the Giants, another
Mm.
game that could go either way. The Dogs you'd think would win the game just because of A, who they beat last week, and B, the Giants' injuries. But it could be an interesting game of football.
Oh, this brings out the best in the Giants as it does the Bulldogs. It's been a pretty good rivalry over the last, 10 years or so since that prelim final, hasn't it? So under the roof, though, you would have thought with their attacking game style and the pace that Marvel does bring, that the Dogs do get it done comfortably, in my opinion. Yep.
A game that was also played in round one last year. It was played at the 4:35 time slot on Saturday. Sydney Swans and Brisbane Lions. That's now the 7:10 time slot. Should be an interesting game to watch from the SCG. I think Sydney will win, but I think it'll be tight.
Absolutely to be tight, eager to bounce back of the Lions. They don't want to start another season 0-2, do they? They're a
Mm.
much better side than that, albeit no alarm bells if they do start the season 0-2. But I mean, Sydney, wouldn't this be a start?
Mm.
Absolutely give it to Carlton last week in a quarter and then beat the reigning premiers on your home deck. To start the season 2-0 is almost the perfect start. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Sydney in this one.
Broken. I was going to say, being in Broken Hill, this team does garner a lot of attention, having two ex Broken Hill footballers in it. The Adelaide Crows, I of course speak of Isaac Cumming and Tex Walker, both hail from the Silver City. They'll be in Melbourne this weekend, obviously, with the rest of their teammates taking on Collingwood in a replay of last year's qualifying final. That'll be an interesting game of football. I think based off what I saw last week, you've got to be tagging Nick Dacos. I don't care whose game you have to sacrifice. Get James Peatling on him and strap him in because he's going to have a long night following around the 35, I think.
No, I'm in demand that the Adelaide Crows do, in fact, tag him. They haven't done it in the past at all, and we've seen what he's done to the Adelaide Crows in particular in close games. So, his impact is, almost match winning. Well, it is. So
Hmm.
they definitely need to go after Nick Dacos, and that sort of stops the rest. That probably stops the Scott Pendlebury, getting that outside nut. So definitely need to clamp on, Nick Dacos. I mean, you're probably going to have to let, Josh do his thing. But you'd rather probably Josh Dacos do his thing than Nick because he's more damaging, straight up the guts. Quickest way home is through the guts. So I'd be stopping Nick Dacos for sure.
100%. I mean, you don't really want to let Josh do his thing too much, though.
No,
I
you
mean, it's
don't. But yeah,
between the two Dacos brothers. It's like having a pick of two guys to shag your wife. It's not particularly thrilling, is
no, you
it?
can't stop both, can you?
But yeah, no, I actually think Nick Dacos will be the difference in this game, and I think Adelaide's coaching staff, whether or not you tag him, will be the difference as to whether or not you win the game.
Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
would you send to him? I said Peatling in my little precursor. Is that who you'd be going with?
Yeah, Peatling or Berry, but Peatling might have the little bit more, diversity on his side. Whether you want to use Peatling as a more of attacking model, I don't know. But my first initial thoughts would be sending Sam Barry to him, especially in that centre
Hmm.
bounce, absolutely clamping next to him. And then, using a few other guys around the ground that are probably a better suited to shutting him down, especially going ahead, front forward of the footy. So be an interesting watch for sure. It's always a good game, especially at the MCG between these two sides. So really, really looking forward to that one on Saturday night, prime time.
Absolutely, I'll be beer in hand watching that one, I reckon. Sunday going to be a big game here. North Melbourne and Port Adelaide. North Melbourne, it feels like we're in the 15th year of their rebuild. Port Adelaide under a new coach, Josh Carr. There's been a lot of speak over in Adelaide about it, especially at Alberton Oval. Who wins that one there?
Oh, North Melbourne have to, don't they? They just do. I mean, it's away from home. If you pencil this win in, Adelaide Oval, you probably say Port. But look, under the roof at Marvel, they play well there. Albeit a losing side, but for mine, they just have to get the job done. They have to find a way. We've seen a little bit from Port Adelaide, in the pre-season, which new game plan, faster style of playing. But North Melbourne for mine, just have to find a way to get the job done. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Port will win. I again, North Melbourne are a team that I don't see a lot of growth from. They're the only ones I picked to finish below Carlton this year. So, um, yeah, I'm not red hot on North Melbourne to be honest. I think Port Adelaide will win that game of football. But I again, a game that could go either way. It'll be very interesting to see how Josh Carr, I guess, kind of opens up his account. If he loses to North Melbourne, there'll be some question marks asked as to whether or not they should let Ken Hinkley go. There always is. Footy's very reactive. But aside from that, there might be they might win that game by 60 points, and everyone will go, "It's a genius move to get a new regime in." Port Adelaide are back, but who knows?
Oh, absolutely. I just think it has to be a big start for North Melbourne, or again, come round six, they'll be out of the competition. So in terms of the season, not not out of the competition, but
Just get rid of them, send them
just send
out.
them away. No, no, they'll be curtains again on another year. So they need to start well, and that starts with the first game. And I think they can against a lesser like in Port Adelaide this year. But who knows? You're right. Port Adelaide still have some absolute stars on the park. So big game that for both clubs, I think.
100%. Just before we do go as well, just want to give a quick shout out. OzGP, that was good fun.
Yes,
Last
of course.
weekend, so a massive thank you to people that got me over there to get that done, and namely the Australian Grand Prix Corporation, and a massive congratulations to George Russell and
Mm.
Mercedes and Kimi Antonelli as well. They drove very well, deserved that. But we're not here to talk Formula One. We were here to talk football. Zach, do you have any? Is there anything we've missed? Is there any news that you've heard that needs to be that we need to touch on? Because from what I saw. Coming out, the only thing I can really think of is a suspension to the poor Brisbane players. That'll be very interesting to watch. It'll probably allow Charlie Curnow to kick a few goals.
Yeah, well, definitely you take out what is it, Gardner and Andrews. That's a couple of
Mm.
big keys to their back line and against a pretty good forward line. Now in Sydney with a dangerous Colonel up there, it hurts their chances. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that news. But like I say, good show. Really looking forward to round one. AFL's completely back now and keen to see some sides step up this year and it all starts with round one, doesn't it?
100%. Opening round at the MCG. Did you like it on Sunday night?
I didn't mind it. I didn't actually catch the game. I was a little busy, but
No, that's all right. I watched all of them, but you're too busy.
yeah, I had something else on. But no, I didn't catch the game. But I don't think it did any harm, did it? Having it at the
Mm,
MCG, obviously it helped with the Formula One just closing its doors a couple of hours earlier. So put it in a perfect time slot. The crowd was upwards of 80,000, I hear. So definitely didn't do those two clubs any harm or the competition any harm. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think we'll see it back next year. Whether or not it's the Saints, whether or not it's someone else that gets to go, it'll almost most definitely have to be Collingwood to draw that crowd again. 82,000 people, the biggest crowd
Yeah.
St Kilda ever played in front of home and away. So really good work from all involved there. But I think that wraps us up, Zach. What a fun show. We've gone through. Everyone now is a little bit smarter for having listened to you and a little bit dumber for having listened to me.
No, all good. Good show.
Good show indeed. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the footy. But till then, bye bye.